All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig in a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. And of course, check out Pig in a Pickle. Two locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue you're going to find in the Bay Area. Check them out. Get the brisket chili. Say hi to Damon and Mary. Tell them Krug sent you. And this video brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check that link in the description. Use the promo code KRUG, K-R-U-E-G, and they'll match you up to your first $100. All right, well, the disrespect of Brock Purdy continues. At this point, it's kind of comical. The guy is on the verge, as Mr. Irrelevant, of potentially winning the MVP. He's going against two really subpar pass defenses down the stretch. I'll say this, if Brock Purdy goes into the Christmas night game against the Ravens, throws for 300 yards and the 49ers win, I think he's going to be the MVP almost based on that performance alone. That's going to be a high-profile game with the nation watching. But so he'll get plenty of accolades. And if you ask Brock Purdy, I bet you he would tell you that he doesn't even really care about the MVP. He'd much rather win the Super Bowl than win the MVP. But that being said, Cam Newton disrespecting Brock Purdy, calling him a game manager. And not just Brock, he called Tua a game manager. It's such a sign of disrespect. It doesn't, it's like some people would say, if you don't know football or you don't know, the terms, you would say, hey, well, he does. He manages the game. He does a great job of it. I just was talking to a buddy of mine today who's like not a big fan. And he's like, well, is that a bad thing to say he's a game manager? And I'm like, well, it is kind of a sign of disrespect. It's like saying that he's not really as good as these other guys. And ultimately, let's talk about quarterback. Offensive football is about creating space. The quarterback's job is to play with timing and pace and rhythm, throw the ball with accuracy, get to the line of scrimmage in a timely manner, get the plays called on time, get you into good plays, get you out of bad plays, recognize coverage, be in lockstep with his receivers. There's countless things. And the traits that it takes, I think, you have to be really, really smart. You have to have great spatial awareness. You have to have timing. You have to have touch. And maybe most importantly, you have to have accuracy. You got to have courage and you got to have smarts because you got big guys rolling by you at a high rate of speed. And you can't be focused on that. You got to be focused on your guys down the field. And it takes great vision and coordination and quickness and agility. All these factors. That's why it's one of the hardest positions in all of sports. That's why even though there's 32 teams in the league, there aren't enough quarterbacks to go around seemingly ever, at least good ones. It's really, really hard. And Cam Newton in his day was great. He won the MVP. He also, may not have been the world's greatest competitor because he didn't necessarily fall on a fumble in the Super Bowl and kind of made a business decision at, whatever he is, 6'6", 250, to not fall on a fumble in the Super Bowl at Levi's against the Broncos. So that's kind of his legacy. But to disrespect Brock Purdy and call him a game manager, I think it looks too far. It's too labeling. It's too negative. And I think it doesn't recognize the high level ability that he really possesses. Purdy's playing at a high level right now. And he's played at a high level virtually his entire time with the 49ers, dating back to the first minicamp. The guy really has been remarkably consistent. And, his teammates love him. Why? Because he's tough, he's accountable, and he's humble. And he's good at his job. That's why his teammates love him. He's the same guy every day. He's a good teammate. He works hard. Then there's the other thing is there's football on game day, and then there's the process of football, which is Monday through Saturday. And Brock loves the process of football. He loves getting ready for the games, or at least he's dedicated to it. Whether he loves it or not, I think you'd probably have to ask him. But he's clearly dedicated to the process of pro football, which is you watch the film, you study your opponent, you watch the cut-ups, you analyze everything about the game plan, you commit it to memory with all the variations. And listening to Joe Montana talk about this from when Bill Walsh coached him in the 80s, the mental capacity that you need to be a good NFL quarterback is probably the most underrated aspect of the position. All of those guys are brilliant. They may not be, scientists or doctors or lawyers, and that they're not maybe, formally educated brilliant, but you have to be football brilliant. And that's what, and there's so much that goes into it. And Brock Purdy is in that football brilliant mold. I mean, he really is. The guy, he throws the ball with such accuracy, and he's in such lockstep with his receivers right now that it's very, very difficult to defend for opposing defenses. He'll throw the ball to spots that he knows Ayuk or Debo are going to be in. Ayuk is very consistent for the most part at getting to his spot on time, and those guys are in lockstep. Now, we saw a pick this week, against Seattle where Ayuk didn't get to his spot, and he kind of hesitated, and that half step, I mean, these guys are locked in. It looks like it's random, but if you go and chart these games, they're running that post or that in cutter at 11 yards, not 10, not 12, 11 yards, or it's 10 and he's getting 1 yard on the tackle. I mean, they're running it, the precision with which they're running some of the intermediate stuff under Shanahan and now with Purdy at the helm is remarkably consistent. I could show you the charts of the season this year and how many 11-yard routes there are from Purdy to Ayuk. It's a very common depth. The ball is on his hands, and he's throwing it sometimes before he's coming out of the break point. So you're talking about a quarterback that's throwing with anticipation constantly and uncanny accuracy with anticipation. So he's anticipating that you're going to be in a certain spot, and he's throwing it before you break, and he's putting it right on your hands. It's not high, it's not low. Count the number of times that Niner receivers got just blown up by the defensive back when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback. And now picture how infrequently that has happened since Brock Purdy has stepped in. Why? Because he doesn't lead his receivers, in zone coverages into defenders. He understands how to throw it to the void and how to lead them to the void. And it's just high-level football. So, quarterback's about accuracy, it's about timing, it's about touch, and Brock Purdy has all of it. He's got the accuracy, he's got the timing, he's got the touch. The ball comes out on time all the time, and he puts it on your hands. He plays with rhythm. He's got mobility. He's excellent at throwing on the run. This guy can fit it into tight windows. You cannot blitz him. How many 23-year-old quarterbacks are perfect against the blitz? Every defensive coordinator worth their weight in anything for the last 40 years, when facing a rookie quarterback, says to themselves, hey, look, we can speed him up and move him off his spot. We got a chance to really bother this guy. And then he'll start throwing us picks in the second half. That's not the game plan to beat Brock Purdy. You can't speed him up. And if you speed him up, he can adjust. And his accuracy and movement ability and ability to avoid the rush and avoid the blitz. And, the blitz just gives Brock Purdy a predefined read of where he's going with the football. So now he doesn't have to scan the field. Now his options are a little bit more limited, but he knows the ball's coming out fast. You can't fool him. The same way you can't fool Joe Burrow right now, and you can't fool Kirk Cousins, and you can't fool, the veteran quarterbacks. You're never going to fool Aaron Rodgers. Brock Purdy's a 23-year-old quarterback that's really, really hard to fool. So Cam Newton can say whatever he wants. And there'll be more than Cam as a doubter, and I don't think Brock really cares. Really, at the end of the day, he's on the verge of, in his second year, potentially winning the MVP and the Super Bowl. So, say what you want about that, but that's there for the taking. That's what he's looking at. That's his reality, is that he may win the MVP and he may win the Super Bowl. And guess what, Cam? He may win both. So Cam got the MVP. I don't know if he ever got the Super Bowl. I know that he didn't, in fact. But, all I can say is, get ready. These are the kinds of things that make Brock Purdy better, because he loves to play with that chip on his shoulder. So Cam can talk his talk and disrespect Purdy all he wants. Whoever's standing in the winner's circle in Vegas on February 11th is going to have the last laugh. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate you checking out Pig in a Pickle. 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. The video sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Once again, check that link in the description. Use the promo code KRUEG, KRUEG, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And thanks to all you guys for supporting The Krug Show on YouTube.